into the live stream. And in today's live stream, we are going to get straight to it. Should you use AI to help you write grants or should you not? Today's live stream, I'm going to go into the pros and the cons of using ChatGPT and different artificial intelligence tools to help you write and win grants. I'm Superior Shelby. I've dedicated 6 years of my life to teach you guys how to search and apply to grants on live on YouTube and just in general on YouTube. I'm a 71% successful grant writer. I've been winning millions of dollars in grants for the last 10 years. And I'm here to make sure you know that there's over $90 billion in grant funding every year for startups and small business owners. Matter of fact, over 33 million small businesses are opened in the US right now, and 84% of you guys are not applying to grants. I understand why. That's simply because you don't have the time, you don't know how to search and apply to grants, and I understand that you might not be confident in your grant answers. That's why I dedicate my time to make sure I educate you on exactly how to access this free money that you deserve. So as you're coming into the live stream, friend, make sure you like the live stream so that way all of the other startups and small business owners have the chance at knowing this good information that we're going to go over. Artificial intelligence has definitely made our lives easy. Yes, it has. Matter of fact, these young teenagers and even some people in my age group in our 30s, you're actually using ChatGPT to text people back, to create invites, or even to develop captions for your Instagram and TikTok, handles and stuff. So ChatGPT has definitely been that resource tool. I don't know about y'all, but ChatGPT has been working overtime for me, okay? Now, while I'm a person that loves technology innovation and I love how fast that we are developing and we're getting used to this new technology, there's some pros and cons about using AI. And I want to talk about that today, especially when we are talking about going for grant funding and free money you truly deserve. So, let's get right into it. Of course, I got some slides, so I'm going to bring the slides up. But before I get into that, I want to make sure you all are reassured on exactly what a grant is, how to find them and how to get grants, and also what you need to have before you go for grants. So, grants. All right. Before I get in there, let me go ahead and say hey to everybody in the chat. Make sure you like the live stream as you're coming in because we are talking about how to win over 90 billions of dollars that's on the table. Now you can get a grant anywhere between $200 up to millions of dollars. One of my clients, actually the most expensive grant that I've ever been able to win for one of my clients is $2.5 million. Yes, she was able to get $2.5 million for her tech invention. Yeah, that's crazy, right? And it's free money, no strings attached, and there's no credit checks, and there's no personal information needed, like your social security number or bank account statements. This is not loans, it's free money that you truly deserve. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. All right, before I get into it, say hey to everybody in the chat. Hey, Dennis, thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate your consistency. Hey, what's up, Machalika? Oh, I'm hoping I'm saying it right. But hey, how are you? Sticks Anderson, thanks so much for being here. And yeah, I really do appreciate you guys. I've created ChatGPT to create full systems of AI. This is super dope. I love that. All right. Matter of fact, while you're in here, Six Anderson, I just want to reassure you that there's trillions of dollars right now in tech, like for any type of funding that you want to go for, from VCs to, grants, accelerated programs, incubators. Right now, I have a tech invention. I'm a co-founder to one, and I'm also a full founder to another. And what I'm doing is I'm going for a VC. And it's yesterday. I can't wait. Towards the end of this live stream, I'm going to tell you exactly what my first investors pitch, tech investors pitch was like yesterday. And I want to give you guys some game, right? Because I was able to receive feedback. I guess I was able to have the favor of those people, but I still don't know if they're going to give me the money that I'm asking for. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys exactly how that works, but we're going to get right into it. Grants is free money that you can get. It's usually in the form of a reward that you can get, and it's money. And you can get this free money from big companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, Airbnb, DoorDash, Nike, Sephora, all of these big companies, right? And they give out millions of dollars in grants. Why do they do it, friend? It's simply because it helps them on the back end with taxes. I mean, imagine being a multi-hundreds of $1 million company, and you have all these taxes to pay. Well, it's going to help you out if you can show that you give out millions of dollars for free in charitable rewards and gifts. And then you can also get this free money from your state and local governments. So let's say you are a part of the LGBTQ plus community. You have your own restaurant that you're building out in Dallas, Texas, right? They might be giving out $10,000 to you all who are a part of that community and who's in that particular business industry. And if you apply, it might be a first come, first serve opportunity, which means free money for you. You didn't even have to work hard for it. So you can get this free money, grants from your state and local governments. Also, they're funded by donations from around the city and some taxes that you also pay as well as a person that lives there. Thirdly, you can get some of this free money from other nonprofit organizations and private investment firms that actually give out grants as well as, other funding opportunities. So for example, a lot of you guys know about Hello Alice, Hello Skip, right? The Fearless Fund. Those are like VC firms and also, nonprofit organizations, just to name a few, that actually give out grants on a monthly basis. Yes, friend. I said a monthly basis. See, a lot of these grants, sometimes they don't always choose one winner. You do have a grand prize winner, okay? You got to have like first place, second place, third place, but that still gives you the opportunity to be able to be within one of those places and actually be able to win free money that you truly deserve for your idea. So many of you guys are starting businesses or you already have a business, an LLC or a registered company, but you're not generating revenue. And that's because you need some money to help you get there. And I get it. Why go for debt and why start your business out in debt when you actually need to see how good of a person you are with juggling this money? So why not put some other people's money to the test, which is grants, and to see if your idea will actually work and if it's something that's needed in the market, right? And that's what I love about grants. Grants is the perfect like safety net, the perfect funding to be able to use to put things to the test. So for those of you who are like, well, I have this idea. I've had my business running since 2020, since the pandemic. I had no choice but to start my business since the pandemic simply because things was hard economically and physically, okay? And we had to still pay bills during such a detrimental time. So I started my business in 2020 and I was able to, get some money to pay bills. However, I never was able to scale it, which means I had to resort to going back to a 9 to 5. I totally understand, friend. Well, if you have a great marketing strategy and you know that you might need to put about like $30,000 to $100,000 into a marketing ad strategy, well, grants is the best money to use that for, okay? They'll also give you perks and deals. So many entrepreneurs believe that applying to grants will waste their time simply because there's no 100% guarantee that you will win. Grants are competitive, right? So think of them like lotto tickets or scratch off tickets. But the analogy I have, let me give you the analogy. The person that goes into, let's say, the casino and gambles all the time, or that goes in and buys lotto tickets all the time, or buys those scratch offs all the time, actually, the person that buys a scratch off every day has a higher chance at winning on one of those scratch offs versus you who goes in there every once in a while when you're feeling lucky. And that's simply because it's the consistency that's key, right? So you must consistently go for these funding opportunities. If you are an entrepreneur, you have a great idea, it's something that can solve so many problems, then why not go for free money, non-dilutive funding that you can get to be able to help scale your business, right? Okay, okay. All right. So let's get right into it. So, you know what a grant is. Grants is free money that you can use, no credit checks, no personal information needed at all. You also know that where you can get these grants from. And you also know the analogy behind why you are not wasting your time and why you should actually apply to grants, okay? See, when you are applying to grants, it's not just the money that you're going for, it's the network that you're going for, and it's also going to be the perks and deals that come with it. Take, for instance, since we're coming towards the end of the year and it's time for you guys to kickstart 2026 with your new business ideas. Well, the NBA, yes, the National Basketball Association, all right, the NBA, LegalZoom, and there's another company, I think it's called ASEAN Opportunity Fund, AOF. What they do is they come together, put some donations together, and they give out multiple, matter of fact, over 50 $10,000 grant opportunities to startups, specifically startups. One those types of businesses, right, that are in the idea phases, that don't have an LLC yet, that hasn't generated any revenue. Well, this grant opportunity usually comes out around next month, November. And they choose a winner towards the end of the year, like right before Christmas, usually around that time. Okay. They've been actually giving out these $10,000 grants at the end in the fourth quarter of the year for the past 3 years. Okay. Or probably more, but I've been knowing about it for the past 3 years. Now, what's so significant about this particular, $10,000 grant is that even if you don't win the $10,000, what they do is they give you free $500 worth of free LegalZoom credit. For those of you who don't know what LegalZoom is that third-party resource tool that you can use to help you build and start your business, register your company, get some, consulting paperwork done, if you need contracts for your business, whatever have you. So LegalZoom is perfect for that. So if you don't know how to get an LLC, how to get an EIN number, and set up your business properly and professionally, well, LegalZoom is the tool that will do it all for you. I know you guys have possibly heard of Taylor Brands, but I'm not a Taylor Brand fan. Okay. I'm a LegalZoom friend. Okay. And I love LegalZoom. So they will give you $500 in credit for LegalZoom. Now, one of my subscribers, not even one, but a couple of my subscribers, but one that I can remember is a mother and son. They actually watched my YouTube video. They applied to the $10,000 grant opportunity that's sponsored by the NBA, ASEAN Opportunity Fund, and LegalZoom. And even though they didn't win the $10,000, her and her son was actually able to get their LLC for free, which is essentially saving them over $200. Yes. Okay. So applying to a grant is not always just about going for the money. You're not wasting your time. There's other perks and deals that come with applying to the grant. So don't waste your time in leaving over 90 billions of dollars on the table. Make sure you are reassured on exactly what you need to have before you go for this grant funding by visiting grantfully.org and getting my free grant writing checklist. Okay. You need to have a checklist. I get this frequently asked question all the time. Shelby, what do I need to have before I go for grants? Cool. I put everything in a neat, clean spreadsheet for you. So that way you can know everything you need to have before you go for grants. So visit grantfully.org so that way you can download my free grant writing checklist and be prepared for grantfully.org's virtual launch. Grantfully.org is going to be that seamless, smart, humanized, grant writing tool that we can use. We'll be able to go to grantfully.org, search for grants, which has over thousands of grants in their platform. You'll be able to track everything in your client dashboard. And for just $30 per application, you can go ahead and have their team apply to grants. Right. And it's real people. It's not AI. So don't worry. I'll get there towards the end of this live stream. But for now that you know what a grant is, now that how to search and apply, all that good stuff, right? And you also know that you're not wasting your time with grants. And you know that you can get my grant writing checklist by visiting grantfully.org. The link is in the description as well. Then guess what, friend? It's time for us to go into whether or not you should use AI to help you with applying to grants. I'm going to give you some tips, pros and cons, and then you decide. Okay, you decide if you want to give yourself a winning chance. Okay. All right. So let's get right into it. I hope you guys are having a blessed Thursday. I'm so blessed to have you guys here. As you're coming in the live stream, make sure you like the live stream so that way the YouTube algorithm can push out my live stream to other startups, entrepreneurs, founders, and everybody who's looking for this free money. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. The Battle Zone 1480 says companies are also offering sponsorship investments. Yes, they are. That's so cool. Hey, K Young, thanks so much for being here. Jerry Fisher, thanks so much for being here as well. I really do appreciate you guys for being here. Truly, I do. Okay, so I got some slides for you. Scoop this up. All right, today we are actually going to go over if you should use AI to help write grants for you. Okay. So you guys can screenshot if you want to have these slides, things like that. But I'm going to just get right into it so that way we can get to some questions. All right. Okay. So number one, let's review it. So you guys, how I'm going to go, this is 5 things that I can tell you, right? How AI can actually help you. AI is not the end all be all. However, you can use AI to help you out with writing grants. I get this question a lot. Shelby, can we use ChatGPT or can we use AI to help us? And what ways can we use AI to help us write the grant? Well, these are the 5 ways that you can use AI and the pros about using artificial intelligence with for your grants. All right. So number 1, brainstorming and clarity. AI can help founders express complex ideas clearly. So brainstorming and clarity. So in other words, what that means is you can use AI to help you with brainstorming on your answer. So if they are asking a specific question and it might be a bit like, challenging for you to kind of like answer it, well, you can use AI to help you with brainstorming. All right. Brainstorming and giving you clarity. That's it. That is all. That does not mean go to the grant application, copy the question, paste it into ChatGPT, and tell ChatGPT, answer this for my business, and then copying the answer from ChatGPT and pasting it inside of your grant application. Do not do that. That is an absolute big no-no. If you do that, I'll tell you why you shouldn't do that in just a minute, okay? Next is organization. All right. So you can use ChatGPT to structure your sections. So you can structure it in a place of like, what's the need? What's the need for your product and service? What's the problem? How your product and service is the solution, and what's going to be the impact. So you can always organize your answer by using ChatGPT to help you out with that. Okay. But no, you are not copying and pasting the entire thing inside of the application. You can use it to help you form your answer, but you still have to add your 2 cents and change your words. Okay. I'll get to why you should in a minute. Thirdly, editing and polishing. So you can use ChatGPT to help improve your grammar, your flow, and consistency. You can do that, right? So if you need help, like you do have AI, other tools like Grammarly, right? Grammarly.com or Grammarly.ai, but you can use it to help you with grammar to make sure your spelling and everything is correct, and to make sure that the answer sounds, good, right? So there you go. Grant research. Summarize eligibility requirements and keywords from founders. So what you can do is if you are applying to a grant, you can actually copy the link directly from the grant, that like the grant application site. More so, you would copy the link from the terms and conditions site from the grant itself. So let me walk you through that. You would go to the grant introductory page, and it will tell you if you want to learn more, click on official rules or the grant terms. You would click on the official rules, and it will bring up another page. That link that's in the address bar, you can copy that link and paste it into ChatGPT, and you can ask ChatGPT to help you with understanding exactly what the grantors are looking for in your answers. That way, it will help give you more confidence in how to answer these questions on the grant application. Okay. ChatGPT then is going to tell you exactly what they're looking for, how they're going to grade you, and what you can possibly put in your answers to help increase your chances of approvals. But you are not copying and pasting the full answer and putting it inside of the grant application. That's not what you're doing. It's helping you. All right. So I just want to reassure you on that. And last but not least, idea testing. So you can ask AI, does this problem statement sound fundable? So you can always form your form your answer in the grant application, and then you can copy and paste it into the AI, and you can ask AI, does this sound good enough for this particular grant application? You know what I mean? And it will let you know or give you some pointers on how to, spice it up and make it more, strengthen it, right? Make it stronger. But you're not copying and pasting the entire answer into the grant application. Okay. Okay. All right. So make sure you guys copy this right here. Give you a few seconds to screenshot. So you can use AI to help you brainstorm and give you clarity. You can use it for organization. You can use it for editing and polishing, okay, to make sure the flow and tone is consistent. Make sure you have some good grammar in there. Grant research, so you can always reassure yourself on exactly what are the requirements and some key words that you can use that the founders actually put in the grant mission. And idea testing, you can ask the AI if ChatGPT thinks it's good enough for you to submit the grant application. Okay, so that will help you build confidence. AI is like your junior assistant, all right? It can help organize your genius, but not replace it. That's the whole point. All right, so let's get into the cons. Let's get into the risk of it all. Yeah, let's get into the risk of it all right? Here's 4 reasons why. Okay, make sure you screenshot this. Are you guys screenshotting? Okay, cool. Good. All right. This one is going to piss some people off, but I have to be completely honest, okay? Okay. Here's 4 reasons why you should not use AI for your grant submissions and applications. You want to give yourself a chance to act in actually winning, okay? So I'm going to give you 4 reasons why you should not be using AI. Now, previously, I gave you 5 reasons on 5 ways that you can actually use AI and the pros of using it. Here's the cons. Here's the risk of it all. All right. Number 1, loss in authenticity. There's no originality in your answer when you're using AI. Okay. Reviewers read thousands of applications all the time. Matter of fact, when we're talking about small business grants, and on that average, each grant gets about 2,000 applications. So they have to, they don't use AI to scan through all of this stuff besides doing AI detection, right? They actually have volunteers and hire people to actually go through each application and they read the answers to make sure that your business mission or what you are doing aligns with the grant mission. So I'm telling you, they know when you are copying and pasting simply because it's the same buzzwords and keywords that AI will give to you, which will give to thousands others that is using AI. So loss of authenticity. There's no originality when you are using AI. Number 2, fabricated details. There's sometimes when you are in the process of submitting a grant application, the grant application might ask you, what traction have you developed or can you provide for your business? Well, if you copy that question and paste it into ChatGPT, what's going to happen is the AI is going to give you fabricated data that your business never performed on. So for example, it's going to say that you gained 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you were able to make $100,000 in 6 months, and also you've invested, let's say $10,000 at the beginning of 2025. Knowing darn well you ain't do that, okay? That is fabricated data. You don't ever want to lie on a grant application. Matter of fact, you come out better telling your story and telling your truth. Now, you don't have to tell your whole life story, okay, about how all your life you had to fight, but you definitely want to explain to them how compassionate or what events took place that made you so compassionate about starting this business or developing on this idea, right? And then that will actually help make your grant application and your answers more solid. And that also gives the reasons for why you should be the one that wins the free money. Fabricated data, okay. AI be inventing data. You don't want to do that. Generic tone. This one eats a lot of people up. Generic tone. All right. While there are some AIs out here that you can use that's like humanized, it still has a robotic tone. No matter what, it sounds bland, it's using too many buzzwords. People really don't say, I'm out here about to revolutionize the entire hair industry with my new curling flat iron 2000. No, they're not going to do that, friend. Okay. You don't talk like that. I don't talk like that. They want to hear from a direct person and they know when you're using AI because AI uses a lot of buzzwords and high key vocabulary words that just simply just doesn't make sense. Okay. You're not talking like that. So generic tone. All right. It just doesn't sound like it comes from you at all. At all. And last but not least, detection tools. All right. So believe it or not, many funders, right? They run your applications through different AI tools. So remember when we were in college and when you would write a paper and then they would use, I forgot what it's called. I think it was like Hoot or something like that. And then they would take your paper and they would run it through the system to see if there's any plagiarism in it. Well, yeah, that was like, well, I was in college in like 2013, 2014 or whatever. But if they had that back then, right? Almost 10 years ago, then, well, over 10 years ago, sorry. If they had that back then of course right now they have an AI detecting system. Zero GPT is just one of thousands others that they use. Okay. Banks use them, grant funders use them, investors use them. They all use them to reassure themselves on whether or not you have used AI for this entire business plan or you use this AI for answering these grant applications. The grantors and the funders do not want you to use AI actually at all. They want to hear from your story. They want to hear directly from you. Why are you so compassionate about starting this business? What took place that influenced you to actually start this business? What was a problem that you had or your customers have? And how is your business actually going to be that solution? Why is it needed in the market right now? Can you be able to show proof that it's needed? But besides you that needs this, right? So they want to hear from you. You have the smarts, right? There are questions that they're going to ask you on this applications, and they want to know how deeply have you thought about your idea. You don't have to be afraid, okay? You don't have to be afraid at all. You just have to be honest and upfront. And a lot of these grantors, they understand. They understand that you're in your startup phases. They understand you did not generate revenue. That's why you need the freaking grant. So just tell them your storyline, tell them why your product and service is needed out here in the market, and let's get a piece of this $90 billion. You know what I mean? All right. So let me give you guys an example of what this looks like. If five people use ChatGPT to answer why is your business unique, all five of them will sound identical. That's a big red flag to the viewer, to the reviewer. Okay, a big red flag, big one. Okay, so you got it. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and screenshot this so you know and reassure yourselves the cons, the reasons for why you actually should not be using ChatGPT. Do not copy the question and put it and paste it inside of ChatGPT and copy the answer that ChatGPT spits out and puts it inside of the grant application. Don't do that, okay? Sorry. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I was texting. Okay, so moving forward, let's go over the reviewer's perspective really quick. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of wrap this part up. Let me see. Let me see. All right. So this third thing that I want to talk about here, in 4 bullet points, is the reviewer's perspective. The reviewer's perspective are the people that is actually reviewing your application, and they are the ones that determine if you can get some of this free money or not. This is their perspective of when you use AI. All right. Reviewers score based on alignment, clarity, and authenticity. So earlier, remember, we talked about the importance of being original, right? Alignment means, does your business align with the grant's mission? If the grant is giving out $100,000 to people who are doing medical courier services, then you must align with that particular grant, which means you need to be a business that is in medical courier services, right? And you need to express how you would be able to use this $100,000 and how it will be impactful to your area that you are serving. Clarity, all right? Make sure you're very direct. Next, they want to hear your story. Why you and why now? This is very important. Why you means, What is it about you that, or what skills do you have, right? So you can even say what skills you have, or what events took place that made you want to start this business? And why now? Why is this needed now? Is it going to help people gain mental clarity? Are you going to be able to help seniors be able to have that safe space in persons with disabilities? Right? Are you going to be able to provide mental health wellness for women? Are you providing a safe space for the youth? The third reason, right? Third perspective is AI can't replace your emotional connection to the mission. With grants, they want to see what your connection to the mission is. Why? All right. That's very straightforward. The best grant apps read like this founder has lived the problem they're solving. So, in other words, what I mean by that is the best applications, right? The best answers on the applications, they read in a way of you've actually lived the problem that you're solving. So you've actually went through the challenge. You actually had to live with psoriasis or eczema. You've actually had to live with diabetes or gluten challenges, right? And so with that being said, because you've actually lived through the problem, that is why you started your juice bar. That is why you started a meal prep company. That is why you started a gym. That is why you started a food truck company that's only vegan. That is why you decided to start a mental health wellness center only for women. That is why you decided to start your doula services. That is why you decide to start a delivery service specifically for, medical courier services or whatever case may be. That is why you started your cleaning company. They want to hear that you've actually lived through the problem, and that's actually how you came up with the solution. One person that I saw, I think we talked about this particular person before, but there is a grant winner out here. I actually did a YouTube video on this person. I did a YouTube video on 4 grant winners. One out of the 4, she created this skincare brand, right? And it's for Black and brown children. And the reason why she created this is because the problem that she was having was she was going through so many different products from the shelves of Target and Walmart, trying to find the best product for her son, who is experiencing like severe eczema and skincare issues. So she tried so many different name brands, expensive products, and it still would not work. She didn't want to go the route of like doing like steroids and doing all this stuff, like these medical things, because her son's quite young and she doesn't want her son to start experiencing these the after effects, right? Or the side effects of this medicine simply because they want to clear his skin. So what she did was she created her own concoction from natural products. And after a couple of months, she was able to see her son's skin clear up. He was at ease, he wasn't itching, or anything like that, tearing up his skin. And once she noticed that these key ingredients helped out her son, what she did was she gave it to her friends, her family, and her neighbors that had of other, that have Black and brown children, right? That possibly need some help in the skincare area, like her son did. And what happened was she found that this product was really good for Black and brown children. And she also noticed that the challenges that she was having was having to spend so much money, and she could not find a product that was specifically to help the skincare issues of Black and brown children. So she created her brand. Her son is a part of it. She has a storyline. She actually lived through her problem. And because she lived through the problem and she created the solution herself, and she had proof that it works from pictures, not only from her own son's skin, but also like before and after from her son's, but also from her neighbors and everybody else that she gave out the product to for free. Now, she's not only did she make like over $100,000 in grant funding, free money that she doesn't have to pay back, no strings attached, but she's also in the process of getting her product on the shelves. Yes, this is a Black woman who went through a problem, created the solution, saw the need for it. There was a need for this particular product and service because she was having a challenge finding it herself. Why her? Why now? Why her? Because she understands what it's like to spend thousands of dollars on a product that doesn't work for Black and brown children. Why now? Because there is no other product on the there's no other product out there commercially that helps Black and brown children with their skincare issues. That is why she won over $100,000 in grant funding. You can do it too. You just got to sit and think. We got to think about these things, okay? You got to have vision. All right? So I got some questions for y'all. My first question to you is, have you ever used AI in your grant application? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Have you guys ever used AI for your grant applications? Let me know right now. I want to know in the chat. Let me know what's real. Have y'all been using AI? Monica says yes. Okay. Maybe I should have put a poll out here, right? That would be good. I'm going to put a poll in the chat, so I want you guys to answer in the chat for the next question. Okay, let me see if y'all get the poll. All right, I'll put the poll out there. So, do you guys think reviewers should allow you to use AI? Do you think reviewers should allow it? Go ahead and do the poll. Yes or no? Do you think they should? Answer the poll. Let me see. How many of y'all actually think that grantors, right? Grant funders should allow us to use AI. We got some yeses, we got some nos. What's T? Do you think that grant funders should allow AI after us understanding that there's no originality when you use AI? AI could potentially use fake data, right? And the answers are quite bland, but you can still use AI to help you, but not completely copy and paste, right? Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a few more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm ending the poll. All right, y'all. So to end the poll, you guys said 80% of y'all said yeah, they should. Yeah. Let us use AI to submit those answers. Okay, 20% of y'all said no. I agree with the 20%. Okay, hey, look at this, 80-20. Only a few of us gonna make it. Hey, yeah. So sorry about that. I agree with the 20%. I don't think that they should allow AI. I like what they're doing now, where they are using AI detection. There's a thin line with this. There's a thin line with this, and I'll go back on the slide. Okay. Matter of fact, let me go back to the slide so I can show you, so I can reassure you. Okay. You can have grants help you with brainstorming and clarity. AI can help founders express complex ideas clearly. So it can help you make sure, like, if you have a lot to say, you can use AI to break it down, okay? And to be more clear and concise and direct. Organization, you can use it for organization to help you make sure everything is in its needs problem and you're solving it, right? And what's the impact? So you can organize your answer. You can use AI for that. editing and polishing it up, making sure the grammar and it's good, okay, and making sure it's good. What's the other one? Grants. Let me bring it up on here. And then grant research, right? So whereas you can copy and paste the actual application into the grant terms and official rules into ChatGPT to reassure you on exactly what they're looking for in your answers, you can do that, right? And idea testing. So if you want to know if your answer is good, right? Does this problem statement sound fundable? You can always ask AI those things. That's not actually using AI, right? To actually that is not using AI to submit your grant applications. The question I asked was, do you think that they should actually allow you to use AI, right? In other words, do you think that you should be allowed to copy the question, paste it inside of ChatGPT, and then get the answer from ChatGPT and paste it in the application? I would say no. All right, because if I was giving you money, I want to hear directly from you. I don't want to hear from the robot. All right. Thank you for answering. Okay, so I have another question. All right, so what did you guys say here? Yes to help. So Kay says yes to help. Yes. So exactly what I just explained. Monica says you have to have it trained as well for who you are as a business. Absolutely. So prompting it is definitely key. You have to train it for you have to train your AI for all personal work. Yes, I agree with you all. Yes, you should never copy and paste just from AI. Absolutely, Monica. Yes, no copying and pasting. I would say no based on that definition. Okay, awesome. Good. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so my next question I'm going to put inside of the poll. So Michael, next question is, would you trust AI to represent your story? Go ahead and answer the poll now. I just put it there in the chat for you. Would you trust AI, right? Would you trust a AI written grant to represent your story? Would you trust AI to write your story for you? After you have prompt AI, you've told AI, my name is Superior Shelby. I'm a 71% successful grant writer. I have a YouTube channel with over 57,000 subscribers. I've had this YouTube channel for 6 years. I'm also a 10-year entrepreneur. I've won millions of dollars in grants. I travel the world and speak at different speaking engagements about grants and the importance of grants. So by you knowing all that information, go ahead and answer these grant questions for me. The first grant question is, what is my business about, right? Or why should I be chosen for the grant? With that particular question, why should you be chosen for the grant? They're actually looking for a story. Would you trust AI even after giving it a whole prompt about you and your business? Would you trust AI to create your storyline? Yes or no? No, majority of y'all say no. Yeah. Would you trust an AI written grant to represent your story? All right, I'm gonna give y'all a few more seconds. Gustavo says, hey Gustavo. Gustavo says, yes, you just have to know how to use it. Okay. So do 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 do. Monica says no exclusively. You need to weave your own story. So in other words, write your own story. No one can tell it better than you. Absolutely. So I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds. 10-second countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, all right. So it's 80-20 again, but 80% said no and 20% said yes. I agree, of course, with the 80% because no, all right, we shouldn't. Matter of fact, I remember in 2020, was it? Oh, it was like recently. So I think it was like last year. I don't know. It was quite recent. I remember Hello Skip, right? They are always every month they're giving out a $10,000 grant. Well, I remember one winner, his story, right, was so heartfelt. And I was like, Give him an extra 500 for me. You know what I mean? So he actually owned his own restaurant or whatever. Like I think they did pizza back out there in California. And actually his family was one of those families, and his business was affected by the California wildfires. And so he was able to express his story like none other. It had to, there was no other way that this could have came from ChatGPT. It came directly from him. His answer was so good. Matter of fact, I remember that episode on YouTube, on Hello Skip's YouTube, because I was joining the live, um and he was just like going over his answer. And the answer he gave was very direct, right? Very direct and simple, but so compassionate. He says, my name is, let's say, John Doe. I'm from out of, let's say Los Angeles, California. And my family, we have owned a pizza place out here, in, let's say, Santa Monica Pier for the last 20 years. It's been in my family. We've been able to, create financial freedom and generational wealth for our family. We've been able to put our kids through college, so on and so forth. Well, because of the pandemic, we actually received a really big economic dip. But because we were able to get on YouTube and learn more, and we subscribed to Hello Skip, we learned more about SBA loans, and we got an SBA loan and an SBA grant during the pandemic relief funds for small businesses. That was able to help us sustain. However, it wasn't able to help us completely rebuild. Now, we most recently went through the most detrimental time of our lives, which is the California wildfires. Our physical business location is no longer there anymore. However, we've been able to sustain and be resilient and persevere through these trying times by using social media apps like TikTok and Instagram. And we show people how we use how we create our pizza dough, and how we create our pizzas, right? Pizza is the sauce, yeah. How we create our pizza sauce from scratch, which is what most of our people like from our pizza place. While that has been a great thing, right, and we've been building our social media platform, this $10,000 grant will be able to help us, you know, try to blah 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 blah, pay insurance fees, whatever the case be. He said the whole point of this example that I'm giving you and I'm telling you, and this is not even an example, this is a real life thing that happened. His story. There's no way ChatGPT could have came up with a story like that. That was a real life situation he went through. And mind you, right? There are things that there's like physical proof that he has to back it up. He said social media. And matter of fact, when you visit his TikTok, actually his TikTok, he actually showed like his house being burned down, like everything. They lost everything. So he's not lying. He can back it up. This is not AI driven data, right? This is not fabricated data or fabricated information. So I want to tell you right now that you literally, friend, I would not use AI to develop my story, because only you, just like our friend Monica said, only you can tell your story. And that's exactly what these grand tours want. That man he won $10,000. And I'm pretty sure he won more money, from different, like the DoorDash $10,000 grant and so many different others, because man, like that story is so heartfelt, you know? So yeah. All right, so now that we went through that, go ahead and grab my free grant writing checklist. Visit grantfully.org. It's right there in the description for you, and it's also pinned at the top of the Chizat. All right, make sure you visit grantfully.org so you can get my free grant writing checklist. Why not? Learn all of the things that you need to have before you decide to go for grant funding. Over $90 billion is on the table, and you guys are not going for it simply because you don't know what you need to have before you go for grants. It's a-okay. I have created a full free grant writing checklist. I'm not asking you for nothing, okay? All you got to do is just go directly to grantfully.org, download the free grant writing checklist so you can have a full spreadsheet, nice and neat and in order, to show you all the things that you need to have before you go for this $90 billion that's left on the table for grants, okay? All right. this has been a really great live stream. Okay. I want to know, do you guys have any questions about what we went over, about grants and, how about the pros and cons of using AI for grant applications? Any questions, please drop them in the chat right now. I'm giving you the perfect time right now to ask any questions, or, drop your comments or your concerns about anything like that. Okay. Now, um, while you all are doing that, okay, I want to tell you about my investment pitch yesterday. You guys want to hear that? We're gonna talk about it. I wrote some stuff down, right? I wrote some stuff down because I thought it was cool. I got instant feedback, so that was really good. Let me go ahead and go to my thing. So for those of you who don't know, I am a founder and co-founder to two tech companies right now. And right now, for the tech company that I'm 100% like I'm a founder of, I'm going for investment capital. Yes, I'm still applying to grants. Are you kidding me? Yes, of course I am. That's the number one funding I'm going for. But I'm also going for venture capital, right? Because I want to be able to have those certain connections in that marketing, connection, that and networking connection, sorry, that I want to have to be able to get myself out there globally in front of different platforms with ease, okay, with no hassle. So the investment pitch that I did yesterday, it went really well. All right, it went really well. They the guy, he actually, was in favor of me, right? And he gave me some instant feedback, and I thought it was awesome. So I wanted to have a conversation about it. Okay, so three things that I wrote down, a few things that I wrote down. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to the drawing board, redo my pitch deck, and redo my pitch. Okay, all right. Have you heard of Alicia Little, Queen of AI? I think so. I think so. She's I think she's fair skinned, and she's been on a few podcasts, I think. I don't know. But I think so, maybe. I don't know. All right. So, one of the things that I noticed that I needed to upgrade my pitch with for when I'm going for investors, and that I received the feedback yesterday from an investor, right, was, what is my total addressable market? I noticed that my pitch didn't have that. In other words, express like, what is the total addressable market? So how many people actually needs this, right? Or express that they actually need this product and service. The second thing I wrote down was, what is my serviceable addressable market? So after understanding how many people in this particular market may need this product and service, how many of them can I actually service, right? How many of them can I actually service, right? Or serviceable, addressable. So how many of them that I can service, that I can do, address to in the market, right? I'm still learning these things, so don't worry. All right, we're getting it. And last but not least, what is my service obtainable market? So in all reality, right, out of the addressable market, total accessible market, the serviceable market, and out of those two, how many can I actually obtain? So let me break it down in an example. So let's say your particular product and service is in a market that has over, let's say, I'm just throwing a number out there. There might be 2 million people that actually you can address, right? 2 million people that's in this market. Your serviceable, addressable market, right, out of that 2 million. So if you are targeting, let's say, a specific area, how many of them can you address, right? So that might be, instead of going, it might not be 2 million anymore. Now it might be, let's say, just throwing a number out there, 300,000. Okay. Well, how many of that 300,000 is an obtainable market, right? Which means they meet the demographics of the client in a way, or of the person that you're looking for. So they might have the money, they have the time, right? They understand your market. They are actually looking for you. So out of that 300K, it might be, let's say, I'm just throwing numbers out there. It might be 50,000, 75,000, right? So I noticed that I didn't have that in my pitch. I also didn't have it in my pitch deck. So when I received that, I was like, okay, I got to get back to the drawing board. I appreciate it. Cool. Another thing I noticed is I for my tech company, right? I have to revisit my business model, but I'm bringing this to you because maybe you have to revisit your business model as well. You need to be thinking, how are you going to keep clients in your ecosystem? How are you going to keep a low churn rate? A low churn rate is no different from like having a low employee retention rate. So, like when you work for a company and they might say, oh, y'all have a high employee retention rate, right? With our high, yeah, a high rate, which in other words, you guys fire a lot of people or people like quit a lot, right? It's not, that doesn't look good for when you're looking for a job, right? Because that most likely means that job is too hard or it's just like too much drama going on, whatever the case may be. It's just not a job that you probably want to work. Think of it in a way of an entrepreneur, and especially as an investor. Investors want to invest in companies where you would have a low churn rate. In other words, you will be able to have a bundle of clients, a plethora of clients, and you'll be able to keep them consistently paying and coming back for more and coming back for more and coming back for more, right? And it wouldn't be a one-time thing. So I noticed that I'm going to change my business model a little bit so that way I can make sure that the services or that I'm providing, right, through this particular app will always feel a need, right? Will always feel a need for my client, which means or for my customer or my user, which means that I will be able to keep people in my ecosystem as long as they pay, and they will always have a need for it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to update my pitch deck. Another thing that he said in my investors pitch is that I had a lot of buzzwords. You see, I've been using buzzwords. I've been saying buzzwords today. No more. We're not using those buzzwords. The first slide of my pitch actually says revolutionizing blah blah blah. That's why I brought that up earlier today. You don't want to use buzzwords in your investors pitch at all, right? You want to be very direct and simple. Make the problem and the solution slides very strong. Okay, that's going to help you with really solidifying or really selling to those investors or even grantors, right? Even when you're going for grants, you want to be very solid. So you don't want to have buzzwords. You definitely want to be just very direct and clear, because then you're going to bore them. All right, you don't want to bore anybody. And also you don't want to confuse them when you use these big words, right? And it's very important that you be as simple as possible. If you can explain this to a 10-year-old and they can understand exactly what you're saying and what your business does, then you're good. If you can explain this to your grandma, then and they understand, then you're good to go. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I learned. I learned different things about earned shares and different ways that you can, do shares in your company, things like that. We talked about that. The investors pitch was like over an hour. It was really fun. And also I have another one tomorrow. I'm really excited. So today I'm going to be like working hard. Excuse me. Today I'm going to be working extremely hard on like updating that pitch. So for my pitch tomorrow, my investors pitch tomorrow, I'm going to be prepared for it. Another one, right? I'm not wasting any time. I'm going for investment capital, venture capital, definitely looking at different like safes that make sense, right? Also going for accelerated programs and incubators. I'm also going for, of course, grants. So I'm going for all like, especially debt-free funding and funding that makes sense for what I am building. All right. So I just want to share what my experience was like yesterday for my investors pitch, my first one for my tech company. And tomorrow I have another one. And for the rest of the year, I'm just going to be going consistently every day doing it. And this is a thing where, of course, I'm afraid, of it in pitching. Of course, I get choked up right now in the beginning phases, even when I'm pitching to them, and I might sound like a little shaky, but experience is the best teacher. I truly believe in that. And so by me just going for these pitches, even if the first 50 of them, they all say no, By the time I reached like the 10th one, I would be so good at just articulating my words and being direct and just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking my pitch that by the time I actually get to 51, right, get to my pitch, investors pitch number 51, I should actually be starting to look at some good wins, some gains. Okay. All right. So, what questions do you guys have for me? I want to make sure we wrap up this live stream with making sure that you understand that you should be going for this money that's on the table. Don't be a part of that 84% that leaves over $90 billion on the table. Okay, you don't want to be a part of that game. All right, so what do you guys have questions about? We talked so much in this conversation. I told you what a grant is. I told you where you can get grants from. We went over the pros and cons of using AI with grant applications to help you win this free money that you deserve. And also I gave you my example, not example. Yeah, I gave you some examples of some different winners and how you should compel your own story. And also, I told you exactly what my experience was yesterday when I did my first investors pitch. And I have an investors pitch tomorrow, so I'm super excited. Grants is free money that you all should be going for. Okay, 33 million small business owners in the United States, and 84% don't go for this money. And that means that's $90 billion that's left on the table every year. Don't be a part of that 84%. Matter of fact, go for the free money. You have nothing to lose anyway, to be honest with you, friend. Okay. When it comes down to applying to grants, you have nothing to lose. There's no credit checks. So you don't have to worry about any credit inquiries that's draining your credit and bringing your credit scores down. There's no personal information needed. So you don't have to worry about any cyber breaches and anybody using your information, for any scams or anything like that. No bank account statements needed. So you don't have to go through the hassle. It's just free money that they want to give you. They want to know about your product and service. What's the problem? How is your product and service being the solution? What's the impact if you were awarded this free money? Okay. So if there's no further questions, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you grab my free grant writing checklist so that way you know exactly what you need to have before you apply to grants. Visit grantfully.org. Grantfully.org is that seamless grant search engine and grant writing system that you'll be able to use for just $30 application. Grantfully will actually use a human team to actually apply to the grants that you are interested in. Okay, they actually launch on December 10th, and I want you to join me for the virtual launch, friend. Okay, so in order for you to get in where you fit in and this $90 billion you're leaving on the table, make sure you visit grantfully.org. Get my free grant writing checklist, and I will see you all on the other side of winning this money. Okay, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye for now.